It's Wednesday, October 25th, 2017. I'm your host, Sarah Beal. Thank you for joining us. We have a great show in store for you today. On today's show, we will talk with Chief Paul McDonald. He fills us in on the recent cocaine distribution investigation, as well as a community policing forum taking place this weekend. Next, we will check in with Barnstable County Register of Deeds, Jack Mead. He'll give us a look at September's real estate numbers. Finally, we'll talk with Finance Director Mark Milne. He will tell us all about free cash and what that means for the town. But first, let's get a look at today's top headlines. The Massachusetts Cultural Council has renewed the Hyannis High Arts Cultural District designation. Renewing the designation for the next 5 years presents a tremendous opportunity to strengthen the town's existing arts and cultures initiatives, to provide new opportunities to support and promote the creative economy, and to enhance the cultural collaborations within all of our villages. Through a series of arts-oriented initiatives in the Hyannis High Arts Cultural District, the town has successfully integrated arts and culture into the socio-economic fabric of our community. The existing concentration of cultural, economic, and historic resources in the Hyannis High Arts Cultural District, coupled with a strong community commitment to further enhance the vitality of the area, made an excellent candidate for redesignation. For more information on High Arts, please visit www.highartsdistrict.com. The Barnstable Education Foundation will be holding their third annual Run for Success on November 11th at Centerville Elementary School. The races will begin at 10 a.m. and include a 5K and 10K run or a 5K walk. The Barnstable Education Foundation's purpose is to receive, raise, and administer funds for the benefit of the students in Barnstable Public Schools. So come on down on November 11th and support the Barnstable Education Foundation. For more information, please visit www.barnstableeducationfoundation.org. The Assessor's Office would like to remind residents that the FY 2018 residential exemption application and documentation should be returned to the Assessing Office before November 1st. This will ensure that if qualified, the exemption will come off the first actual tax bill in January. If you have any questions, please contact the Assessing Office at 508-862-4022. The Recreation Division is teaming up with the American Red Cross to offer a one-day first aid, CPR, and AED certification course. The course will take place on Saturday, November 11th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The certificate received for completing the course will be good for 2 years. The cost is $75 for residents and $150 for non-residents. Space is limited, so sign up now by going online to the HYCC website, or you can do so right at the HYCC. Up next, my chat with Police Chief Paul McDonald. Chief, thank you so much for joining us today. We have a lot to talk about. There was a cocaine distribution investigation that wrapped up yesterday. What can you tell me about this?
This has been a 2-month ongoing investigation. The lead investigators was Detective Chevalier and Officer Fredrickson. We have received numerous complaints from individuals who live and do business around 14 Terry Court regarding the possibility of a drug trafficking operation being set up at number 14. We initiated the investigation, and yesterday at 1 o'clock came to a culmination when we executed a search warrant. We did that in combination with ICE. 2 individuals were arrested. Nicholas Campbell and Rashawn Campbell were arrested for possession of cocaine with intent to distribute. Nicholas has been held to $4,000 cash bail, and Rushain was released on personal recognizance, and 2 individuals were detained by ICE. We netted a total of, I believe, 17 grams of crack cocaine, which is a little bit different. We haven't seen crack cocaine out and about in the community for a long time, and we got $4,000 in cash.
Wow. That's a pretty big investigation, and I know that area a little bit, and
Yep.
It's like the Facebook post I read about this morning said it's a very heavily populated residential and business area, so it's great that the residents and the businesses were kind of paying attention and were able to tip you off on something that may have been going on.
Well, they know the community. They know their own neighborhood better than we do. They know who belongs there, who does not belong there. They know suspicious activity, and they called us right away. And you're right; it's right in the area of Crocker Street and East Main Street. It's right at the heart of a residential in downtown Hyannis. So it was a good bus. It was good to end it.
Yes, wonderful. Good work by the detective and the officer that were involved in that. So, kudos to them for their hard work. Another thing that we wanted to touch base on is that the Barnstable Police Department and the Barnstable Police Association has partnered with Cape Cod Healthcare, and you guys are selling T-shirts and hats for breast cancer awareness, I think through November. They're black with pink, and they say beat cancer on them. So let's talk a little bit about that.
We started the program about three weeks ago. We were contacted by Cape Cod Hospital, and we decided to take part of it along with multiple other police departments. And what it is, it's our shirt, it's our T-shirt, it's a black T-shirt with our patch on it, and the patch rather than the usual orange and black that we wear in our uniforms. This is pink and black. Along with one of our baseball hats that we have, that the officers all have. But again, the patch is pink, and we're selling the hats for $20. Excuse me, the hats are $15. And the shirts are $20, and they're both in long sleeve and short sleeve shirts, and they come in a various size, and they are selling like hotcakes. We're having a hard time keeping the inventory. They're going very, very quickly.
That's not a bad thing, and
it's not a bad thing, and people want them to just come here to the PD, and we'll take care of them.
Wonderful, and you guys are helping to raise money for the Davenport Mugar Cancer Center.
Yep, the police association fronted the money to buy all the T-shirts, and there's a small profit being made. All the money's being turned over, so it's a great thing. It's being done across the Cape. And I know we're not the only police department partaking, but there are multiple other police departments also involved in it. So it's a great cause.
That's wonderful. What a great partnership. Yep. And the last thing we wanted to touch on is there's a community policing forum this weekend called Cape Cod, Making It the Best Place for All of Us. It's taking place at Cape Cod Community College.
Yes, we've been on working with them, on the ground floor for the past several months, organizing this and getting it ready. We are participating. We have a number of officers going over there because two of the biggest problems facing our community, out of Cape Cod, of course, the opiate crisis, and that's going to be addressed and talked about. And the other biggest challenge is dealing with the homeless in our community. Of course, Hyannis is ground zero, and we have a 1 year that's completely dedicated to that community impact unit, and that entire unit will be down there participating in the discussions and also in the breakout sessions. So it's also dealing with the police relationship with the minority community, and we have a great relationship with our minority community. Every summer we have the Barnstable Unity Day down Hellentown Green. So we're looking forward to it, and hopefully everybody can walk away with some valuable information.
Wonderful. This is taking place this Saturday from 8:30 to 2, the Tilden Arts Center. And you do need to register by email. I have that email address here. I'll let everybody know what it is. It's ksbcampbell@verizon.net. So wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today and giving us an update on all these great things that are happening with the police department. I really appreciate it.
It's good talking to you.
Thanks.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. My guest today is Barnstable Police Chief Paul McDonald. Coming up, we'll hear from Finance Director Mark Milne, but first, let's get a look at September's real estate numbers with the Register of Deeds, Jack Mead. Thank you so much, Jack, for joining us today. We're going to go over some of the real estate numbers for the month of September here in Barnstable County. So where would you like to start?
Well, Sarah, let me tell you about the volume of activity. We were down a little bit from a year ago, 5.5% from September of 2016 in terms of the overall sales volume. As a result, our value was down somewhat as well, 3.6, but ironically, the individual sale value went up 5.7% from last year. So the median sale number was up, which is nice. Just with fewer sales, but we had a little more on the higher end, which was got our median number up.
Mm-hmm. Now, would you say this signals that there's maybe a shift coming in the real estate market? Because I know that it's been definitely geared more towards a buyer, right? Has it been a buyer's market or a seller's market?
Well, it's probably been.
It kind of depends on who you are.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on the area and the level. We were seeing a real push, high level of activity on the $200,000 to $300,000 sale end of the market for the last year or so. It might just be that end of the market's getting a little tight in terms of availability. That's possible. I'm not entirely sure. I might, in terms of that, realtors have a better idea. But it does look like at the moment, I mean, if September's numbers hold, and again, this is month to month can be misleading because last month we had a good month, and so this October, you need to see a three or 4 month trend to get a sense of where we are.
Right.
But it's possible things are there aren't as many. I hear property goes on the market in the $300,000 range. It gets a lot of activity, so it doesn't stay on the market long, as far as I know. So that's probably where the hot action is.
Can you explain a little bit? I mean, we talked about this before we went on the air. A little bit about the difference between what a median sale what that number, where it comes from.
Right. Well, for instance, the median number is sort of the halfway number between the top sale and the bottom sale in terms of your monthly sale total. For instance, we did 705 recording deeds in September were recorded for money for over $50,000. And so what we do is we pull the median number is the number that's halfway there, 350 or so, 352, 353. That sale number represents the median sale, so half the sales were below that sale number in terms of value, and half were above. That's the median number. We pull that from, we basically have a cascading scale from the highest value sale all the way to the bottom, and you pull the median number, and that's the middle number. That's the median number for the sale, as opposed to an average where we would take the total value of sales for the month of September and then divide them by 705, and that would give us a different number, typically higher, because you're going to have those high-end sales can skew the number high on the average. So the median number is, I think, no number is perfect, but it's more reflective of the overall sales market as opposed to particular markets.
Mm-hmm. Now, September is generally kind of the end of the summer, selling and buying season as far as real estate goes. Would you say that it was, an overall a good season, or what would you say about that?
Yes, I think we had a good summer. A solid summer. Our fall quarter tends to be busier, so we're looking forward to being busy. Knock on wood, for the next couple months. The fall and the spring are the busy quarters for us typically, but every quarter, stands on its own effectively, and so the summer months this year were pretty solid, and for the year we're still up. We have a dip here in a month, and we're up another month. So, but overall we're still, doing okay. We're 3.6% for the year ahead of last year, with the value being over 6%. Overall sales value is up 6%, and the overall median value is up 4.5%. So for calendar year 2017, we're not ridiculously ahead of last year, but we're doing better, and so far so good. And with 3 months to go, we'll see if we can close the year out and stay on the positive side. That would be nice.
It would be nice. As far as the Register of Deeds office, if there's people in the public that are looking for information, what would you say is the best way for them to get in touch with the deed office? I know you have a pretty extensive website.
Right. That's the to get some basic information. You can, anytime you want, you can go to our website, which is barnstabledeeds.org, and that'll give you information about homesteads and different things related to real property. You can also search our records online. But the other alternative, we always welcome anyone to pop in, come on into the registry, and we're happy to help you find information about your deed, et cetera, and to put you in the right direction. We can't do a title search for anyone, but we can get a copy of their deed, find their deed, and we can get them started on the search if they want to do historical research. We can, push them in the right direction. But the reality is that all of our records are online as well, and you can do the similar search that you can do in the building online, all the way back to our first record. So the website, unfortunately, we have a legacy software system, so it can be a little difficult sometimes to get the image to come up. We're working on that, but we have lots and lots of people who use the system, and successfully. So it can be done, and we're happy to talk anyone through it if they call.
That's a wonderful resource that you have there that I wasn't aware that you could look up so much information going back for such a long period of time. That's so great that you have that available.
And I want to compliment the town website too. That you can work in conjunction with the towns. Barnstable has a very nice website on their for property as well, so that'll give you information about street address based property searches and name searches as well. So those are two sources that one can use to find pretty much anything they need to know about a piece of property.
Wonderful. And where exactly is your office located in the county complex if someone was looking for it?
We're on Route 6A in Barnstable Village, we're in the courthouse complex, and there's a big building that says Deeds and Probate on it. So the probate court's in the same building we are in, and but it's all in that the lovely village of Barnstable Village.
Wonderful.
And so, ironically, we're Barnstable County and Barnstable Village in the town of Barnstable. So,
yep.
Barnstable cubed, as they say. Right?
Yes, exactly. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I look forward to chatting with you again next month, and we'll see how the month of October went.
Great. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take
Bye.
care. Bye.
My guest today is Register of Deeds, Jack Mead. Mark, thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to talk about free cash, which isn't as free as it sounds.
Yeah.
But that's usually the joke that always gets made when we talk about free cash is like, oh, free cash, how do I get some of that? So what can you tell us about free cash and what exactly that is?
Sure. Every year we have to have the cash that's sitting in the town treasury that's free and clear of any encumbrances against it, certified by the state. So what they mean by the term free cash is cash in the treasury that has no encumbrances against it for things like accrued payroll, accrued vendor payments, the portion of cash that was used to balance the subsequent year's budget, any cash that was reserved under a contract for incomplete work as of the end of the fiscal year. All of that cash has to be reserved for those specific purposes, and everything that remains after that is what they call free cash, and that's what they certify every year. So we do this for the general fund and the 8 enterprise funds.
Okay, great. What does the town use their free cash for?
So we can use it for anything. It requires town council appropriation to use it, and typically what we use it for is our operating and capital budgets. We will sometimes use that to fund a particular capital project, and then sometimes we use it, or annually we use a portion of it to balance our general fund operating budget or a specific enterprise fund budget with their free cash. So, for example, we used about $2.9 million of free cash to balance the FY18 operating budget, most of that going to pay for the prior year's snow and ice removal deficit.
Yeah, there was a lot of snow and ice last year, so that was definitely a good use of that money.
Yeah, we find ourselves every year having to, because we only budget. It's one area of the operating budget the state allows communities to deficit spend. Most communities don't budget anything, and they just raise the amount that they have to cover from the prior year's deficit on the next year's budget. But we budget about $725,000 for snow and ice, but our actual expenses come in closer to $2 million. So we're working on increasing the budget every year for that particular purpose, which will require less free cash to be used to pay for that deficit.
Okay. Now it's called free cash, and it's, like you said, it's unencumbered. But are there any restrictions against what we can use it for?
No, there are no restrictions. It can be used for any purpose for which a municipality can spend taxpayers or user fees for. And the general fund has free cash as well as all 8 enterprise funds, which is one of the advantages of having enterprise funds is that they're able to keep any free cash that they generate in their respective enterprise funds so that subsequently they can use it for their particular programs.
That was going to be my next question. So those enterprise accounts generate their own free cash and it's used for their purposes. It can't be transferred between accounts.
Exactly. So the only restriction there is that, for example, the airport free cash can only be used for airport operations. We can't go and use it to fund general fund operations.
Right.
So that's the only restriction on the enterprise side of things, is that all the free cash certified for each enterprise fund must be used for that specific enterprise operation. However, free cash in the general fund could be used for any enterprise fund.
Oh, okay.
So there is less restrictive. There's a less restrictive nature on that general fund free cash because any enterprise fund could receive a subsidy from the general fund.
Right.
And so that would represent a subsidy if we did happen to use free cash for any of the enterprise funds.
Okay. And the last question I have about this, I know you kind of mentioned at the beginning, Town Council does approve the use of the free cash, correct?
That's correct, yes. Anytime we want to use it, basically what it is it's an appropriation. So any appropriation requires Town Council approval, and if we want to use the free cash to be the funding source for that appropriation, so we have to go to the council for anytime we want to use it. And that includes general fund and any of the enterprise funds. They all require Town Council approval to use them.
Mm-hmm. What would that appropriation look like if someone was, looking at the Town Council's agendas coming up, and is there a certain term that you use within the appropriation order, or is it just an appropriation?
Yeah, for example, we just had one for the council last week when we asked them to appropriate and transfer $30,000 from the general fund reserves, which is the same thing as free cash,
okay,
to finance the siting, design, and permitting of a dock or pier in the Three Bay area. So that's what the language would look like. It would either be the funding source would either be general fund reserves or the specific enterprise fund reserves, and the reserve is synonymous with free cash.
Okay, that's a good way to know that what the wording would look like. So for your viewers and residents who are interested in where this is being used, that's what they can look for.
Yes.
Yes. The last thing I wanted to talk to you about is that the budget action calendar was just posted on the town's website. I believe recently, I think this week. Let's talk a little bit about that and what exactly the budget action calendar is.
Sure. These are just specific dates and milestones that we shoot for during the budget process. As you can see, we start towards the end of September in earnest with developing the subsequent year's capital improvement program as well as the operating budget, and it's a year-long process. We go right up until June. With the anticipation of a final Town Council public hearing on the operating budget on June 7th if needed. So these are the specific dates that certain milestones are to be met during that budget development process. So we wanted to make that information readily available to our public, so that if they wanted to attend any of the anticipated hearings that are coming up regarding fee hearings or capital improvement appropriations or operating budget appropriations, they can check the calendar here to see when we anticipate those on happening. There could be some changes made to these dates. If needed, we will post an updated budget action calendar if any changes do occur, but this gives everybody a sense as to when those specific public hearings will take place. And the next public hearing we have will be scheduled for November 7th, 2 weeks from today, to discuss proposals for that departments have for changing their calendar year permits or fees. Mm-hmm. So that's the next date for a public hearing. Any of those fees will be, we'll take public input on any of the proposed fee changes that are being recommended by departments. The town manager will take that testimony into consideration before he determines whether or not to approve them.
Wonderful. Now, the budget action calendar is a great tool for the residents in the town to really, if they're interested in following along with how the budget's going, what's going on, it's just another way of keeping that transparent along with your open budget software that you have. So, just another tool to keep people informed.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mark, for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye. My guest today is Mark Milne. He's the finance director here in the town of Barnstable. Now let's take a look at our community calendar. Today, let's find out what's happening in celebration of Halloween. The HYCC is hosting a Halloween carnival this Friday, October 27th at 5 p.m. Hosted by the HYCC Skating School and the Cape Cod Skating Club, there will be carnival games, festive music, snacks, and drinks. The cost is $5 each or $20 per family. The Barnstable Recreation Division is hosting their annual Not So Scary Halloween on Saturday, taking place from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. at Barnstable Intermediate School. This is the perfect event for preschool and elementary-aged children. Come in costume and enjoy a trick-or-treat egg hunt, arts and crafts, and everyone's favorite, the Amazing Richard. Also on Saturday, the Barnstable Village Association is hosting a Halloween parade. Gather on the courthouse lawn at 4 p.m. in your Halloween costumes and join the parade around the county complex. After the parade, there will be a dance party, costume contest, and so much more. Now let's take a look at this week's board, committee, and commission schedule. for joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow with another great show for you. On tomorrow's show, we'll talk with Town Manager Mark Ells, Cape and Island State Senator Julian Sear, and we'll have so much more. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Beal.